Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Burrell. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Sheikh. How are you?
I am just traveling a little bit, handling some business, but I want to,
Yeah.
stop by and show you some love, sir.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure, sure. Yeah. I
I
always,
definitely appreciate your spaces when I get a chance to come through. You always have good information. And,
yeah.
and I wanted to ask you, like, maybe in another, when we have more time to talk, or I would love to collaborate with you on my actual course of I'll Mac Yourself and just kind of like have
Oh,
some kind
yeah.
of clarity
Sure.
between us.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. No problem. Yeah. Let us talk and then arrange something and then we'll do it.
All good, man. I truly appreciate it, man. That would be a blessing.
Yeah, no problem, Sheikh. I do it with a lot of people and then definitely with you because I know you already. So we should be able to do something together.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Because my course or my Outmac Yourself
yeah.
self improvement course or however I frame it,
Yeah.
it comes with a lot of things that other people in the community say. But
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to have a collaboration on some of the more in depth subjects that you are
Sure,
more
sure. Yeah.
adept to.
Yeah, because a lot of self development is not in the modern times. We kind of regressed from what the ancients made a progress. So I can bring that perspective. It's not that we have to be religious or anything like that, but they have multiple insights that are pretty modern for us. So that's what I was doing with my burnout coaching and all that. Yeah, definitely we should talk about it. Yeah,
Definitely, yeah,
yeah,
definitely. When I have more time and attention, I will. But
yeah,
I do
yeah,
enjoy your videos. I enjoy the
yeah.
perspective that you take on just healing and just information
Sheikh,
from.
I made so many videos lately because I love making them, right? On different subjects. I was doing
But
on, yeah, on
but it's great. The videos are great because
yeah,
it's just a way for people to spark their curiosity to get more information.
yeah, yeah, yeah. See, I'm also learned about doing the shorts now, and that is being done. Um, See, what happened was in video they gave us 60 videos per month. I kind of made
Okay.
60 videos in 15 days. So because it's so easy, right? Then they said, yeah, that's it for this month, and you will be doing them next month. Then I have the Pictory, so I switch it to that. That's also coming along.
Well, the premise of what I'm doing, just like I say, I'll make yourself is know thyself. But
Yeah,
really, what I want to do is modernize these ancient philosophies to a younger audience, right?
definitely,
So if
definitely.
I can translate know thyself to I'll make yourself, then I can also translate
Yeah.
all the other ancient knowledge or just ancient into I'll make yourself. So
I
by
made
first,
I made a
but
video about what I want to say to the youth, and I'm going to make you see that, and then that will have some of my what are my main areas for the children, but it's not like a specific about self knowledge. That's another video. You can watch that too. And yeah, we could talk about it at length, whatever you want. I will be able to tell you that. No problem.
all good.
Let
So
me tell you.
I'm on
Yeah, let me tell you
say
about
that.
how this room came about because I was watching all these ladies in the community your community that I come to. They were all doing a lot of entrepreneurial work very nicely, and that's pretty good. But then I have been talking to people who are entrepreneurs about how to conserve the energy, rather how to enhance their energy with certain lifestyle changes. That was going on for a long time. I have been talking to people because they're exhausted or they're stressed out or they don't have insomnia or something like that. They used to consult me. So over the years, built up a lot of material. But then for myself, I don't seem to get tired no matter how much I put in there. So I wanted to share some of that, how I do them. So somebody had a question about this self-help books. Are they real or not? What's going on with them? Why we are not able to really implement a lot of self-help insights that were given to us. That's what I wanted to talk about. What do you think, Sheikh? Do you read self-help books or do you don't
Well,
do?
that's kind of where when I got out the military is truly, well, at the time when I got out, truly awful at transitioning veterans, right? They really give you a 2 week course if you could take it.
Yeah,
Sometimes people don't even get the 2 week course, but even if you do, in that 2 week course, they just basically recommend self help books.
yeah,
So when I first got out, as a result, because really is what it does. When you're in the military, you have a program every day. You have
yeah,
a skill set. You have a program. Everybody understands what you're supposed to do for the organization, right?
yeah,
When you get out, you have to start to create one for yourself.
yeah.
So self help is really, really, really important for veteran transition because they have to start creating this program for themselves. And
Hmm.
it's very difficult because the program that you came from was a very powerful, powerful program. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like it's a tough structure, but you adapt to it, but it can become such a part of your life that you can't really divest. And
yeah,
what military doesn't want to tell you is you
yeah,
kind of got to divest from their structure to create one of your own. It can be similar, but it can't be the same.
yeah, yeah. I know
So
my brother, who was elder to me, like a 15, 16 years, he brought me up. He was a military commandant in India. He was like a lieutenant colonel that he retired. But I know their regimented life, what kind of things they give and all that. He used to command like a few thousand men. So that's why he had a lot of these books on military tactics, military training and all that, which happened to be, I read them at the time. So I kind of understood what is the military mind was. But that is one kind of regimentation. But then, if you, at least you guys as army people, have some kind of discipline that you had inculcated, either body exercises,
but see,
or
know what the problem is? Well, know what the problem was for me, Dr. Raw. It's
yeah,
not you're trained in discipline,
yeah,
but you're not able to let go.
yeah,
Meaning
yeah,
meaning be free, like be
yeah,
creative.
yes,
Like chaos has to be like you have to. I
yeah,
know it sounds crazy,
yeah,
but one of my chiefs I met after I got out, he told me like when I first got, he said just free fall. He
yeah,
said you just gotta just free fall and you'll
yeah,
land properly. Like you have enough. Basically, just let things happen and then
yeah,
be creative. Like go with the flow for a little bit. I know it sounds counterproductive because people say, "What does that mean? Don't work?" It's like no. When you're a veteran, you've been at work for 7 years, 8 years, 20 years.
yeah.
You gotta know what it's like not to work so you can develop a level of balance.
Yeah. Actually,
So
you miss that camaraderie, you miss that family, you miss that whole routine and being productive and being appreciated about that, or being punished. All those things going to,
yeah, but you tend to find a way to, if you do it right, you
yeah,
find a way to productively recreate it,
yeah,
and that's kind of pretty much what I do. And to be honest with you, the concept of outmack yourself is an idea came in the military.
mm,
It was a way that when I was off work,
yeah,
it's a standard that I had for the guys that was around me. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So, because so it was like almost like, yeah, we in the military, but we ain't in the military now, so you can't do that. Like you can't act like just it was a standard. So
yeah,
I almost forced anybody that was when you want to kick it with us, you want to hang with a strip club, you want to just kick it. You
yeah,
can't be like that. You can't act like that. You still have to be a man around
yeah,
us. Like, I mean, not to be harsh, but like a standard.
yeah,
And but when I realized later on down the line, it wasn't a harsh standard. It was a standard of self-development,
yeah,
meaning
yeah,
keep
yeah,
your word. You know what I mean? If I say, hey, bro, let me get $5. Young men do this sometimes. Hey, let me get $5,
yeah,
and then act like they forgot.
yeah,
Now, mind you, it's only $5, but it's the principle, and also you just took from me without giving back, and now you around me still.
yeah,
Like you need to understand, it's not about the $5.
yeah.
It's about the disrespect.
Yeah, I
So
understand what you're talking about, Sheikh, because my my brother, I told you he was okay, 15, 16 years older than me. That's why he kind of instilled that military discipline in me and my immediate sister. We both are kind of born in front of him, so he kind of raised us in a way, that going on time, keeping everything is immaculately clean, and also really going after whatever project we have. We got all the discipline from him. And then Indian society being what it is, everybody fashionably late all the time. And then they are not really dutiful in the sense. We kind of suffered because we were not accepting them because they are all being undisciplined in our view. But later on we developed tolerance and all that. But it is something that I can understand what you are talking about, because military gives you certain kind of life that goes very disciplined, and then when you are plucked from that to get back to normal takes some time. My brother took a lot of time because Indian society basically economically and all, there's a lot of corruption goes on there. So he used to be so straightforward in the military. When he came back to civil society, it was very difficult for him to adjust to that. So I understand that. So, but this room, I was talking about entrepreneurs, how they can really work on their energy and get more out of it. And more importantly, I don't want them to get burnout because too much information, too many things hanging around them, and these people are working through the night, and sometimes they don't have the energy to do the important stuff. So that's why I thought I will talk about this. I've been talking a couple of weeks now, but this topic is somebody asked about, do they really help, why they don't help. If I'm reading them, then I kind of really understood what they're talking about, because very very first book when I was a young child, I talked about Dale Carnegie's Making Friends and Influencing People. That was very big hit in India at the time, maybe 70s or 60s. And then he had a lot of very good suggestions there. Even now, I think they're relevant. But you read them and you say, okay, it's very good, and then you don't know why it is not there. So one of the things I noticed was the New Year's Eve. People make resolutions, but then they're high on making them, and then they may do a week or 2 weeks or a month, and then afterwards they go out of whack. The same thing with self-help too. What they write may be good thing, but then how you are taking it, what you are doing with it, that's important. That's what I was going to talk about today. What were the self-help books that you like, Sheikh? Any?
I went through How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yeah,
Who Moved the Cheese?
yeah.
Uh, um, Seven Habits of Highly Effective Efficient People by Stephen Covey.
Yeah, Stephen Covey.
Uh,
Yeah, very important.
yeah, Celestine Prophecy,
Yeah,
which
Celestine.
which helped a lot. Uh, oh, what's the book? Paulo Coelho.
Hmm,
His first real big book is
very good.
I
Atom,
can't remember the name, but it's like a journey too. It's like a I can't remember. Oh, The Alchemist. The Alchemist was a great help.
Alchemist. Yeah,
You know, it
Atomic
helped me
Habits.
understand. It helped me understand what your personal journey could look like, or what it eventually will look like.
Yeah,
Like you just kind of that's the whole that helped me understand that whole go with the flow. Like
yeah,
the universe has a flow, and you're already in it. So even if you don't know what you
yeah,
might not clearly know what direction you might be lost,
yeah.
but in the grand scheme of things, you're not lost. Something's going to happen to change that position. You just got to be ready for it.
Okay. I was going to quote Jonathan Haidt. He's a New York psychologist. He's most influential among the top 20 psychologists in the world. He's one of them. He wrote books like a Happiness Index and other things too. He had a very good analogy that I like. That's what I wanted to present here. Then it will be very easy for people to understand. See, when we read something like a self-help book, it's basically we employ our intellect, and then intellect understands instead of makes a decision we want to do it, but it has no real control on the body and also on the deeper self too. That's why when people get up, for example, they want to get up in the morning and do the exercise, simple thing like that, they understand the importance and all that. But then when the time comes, the body doesn't cooperate. And the same with the mind also. They may learn so many important things, but the reactions that they get, the hidden tendencies of the mind and all that, they don't go that easily. That's where I come and they say I kind of assess and also really show them what are the tendencies that they may have developed. Or, like for example, you are in the military, you develop the tendencies of self-discipline, hard work, and doing all that, right? That is how your mind is trained to have some tendencies like that. They could be good, they could be something maybe relaxed attitude for some people too. But then, if you don't understand how your body responds by itself, and also the mind has these tendencies, then when you start to doing these things, it doesn't register. And that's where people need training of their body, training of their mind. First of all, they have to understand how did they come to that, what was their life, what was their conditioning and all that. Once they have looked at it impartially, then they can change them slowly. That takes some time and all that. So that's why simple, insightful inspiration is good for the intellect at the time, but it has come into this. So go more detail into that as the people come in. I think I started early today, but they will come very slowly, and then they want to maybe stay beyond 7. Usually 6:50, 6:20, the people show up. Um, so that is the essence of it. Okay, there is a division between the body intelligence. The mind itself has the three parts. One of them is intellect. So that's why body and mind don't listen to your resolution that I want to do this. You have to have much more into understanding of your own training in the past, conditioning in the past, tendencies that you develop from that, and then as you do every day, you should be aware of that. And then as they come up without your real involvement compulsively, you got to be really aware of that. So this is what happens in the yoga training that I do. Most of the people come and say, I'm sitting for the meditation, but I have all these things coming up from the old trauma, old insults, and all of them. They don't let them come up and go. They kind of reinforce them again. That's why they become much more. So that's why when I train them to be aware, they are much more sensitive to this and they don't react to them that easily. Make sense, Sheikh?
A whole lot of sense. Well, I'm gonna sign off only because I'm traveling and I know my signal's gonna go in
Okay.
and out. So
Yeah.
I kind of don't want to leave you by yourself, but I'm gonna definitely check
No, no,
in
I
with you.
have other people in the other channels.
Okay,
Yeah,
all love. I'll talk to you soon, though. I appreciate you.
sure, sure. Okay. So that's what I was going to focus on. What are the tendencies that we developed in the body and in the mind? you know so lots of times we don't know about them. They are so strong, they really respond. Like for example, you want to get up 5 o'clock after new year resolution or inspiration from self-help book, and then you want to do that, but it is all cold, and then your body's natural tendency, the body clock is, it want to sleep through the winter day or cold day, and then want to get up only when it is, and it's really comfortable for it. So that mechanism of biochemical reaction that is already going on there is not something that's going to reverse by itself. So understanding that, understanding the tendencies, conditioning, everything that we have developed, and that results in our body and mind going its own way, not because of intellectual resolution was there. So this is where yoga really brings in the mind separately, and then gives you the presentation of the tendencies you have in your mind, and you may not be aware of them. But slowly, as you become more and more slower in your thought and reflecting the thoughts and what is happening, you will be aware of what's going on with you, right? And then it is easy for you to change. So self-help books have been there, especially now with a lot of positive psychology. A lot of these books have real good insights. They're not to be dismissed. And there is a lot of research done on so many things, including meditation, including physical conditioning, including what happens to our reptile brain. It's all very easily, nicely explained in these books, and people do read them, do get the insight, they get inspired by it, but then they don't understand this link between body intelligence, mind on its own, and then also this conditioning happened within you, and that is the one which is taking over you, and you cannot really do it. So there was I mentioned about Jonathan Haidt. He wrote that book. In that book, he mentions about Indian elephant. It is if you go and see in India, there's one man sitting on the top of the elephant, and he will be controlling the elephant with a sharp instrument, but the elephant listens to him very obediently. The size is maybe 20 times to the man, the elephant size, but he listens to him. How does he do that? Wherever, if the elephant determines that I'm going to throw this guy off me and then walk away, he cannot do anything, right? But how is he able to do the control of the elephant? That was because he trains them right when they are babies, right? So that's the same thing with our body is more powerful than our mind, and our mind intellect is much less than our reptile brain, our animal brain. So once you understand that relationship, then you will understand the need for more training. In the training, not just doing stuff, but what are the tendencies within you that are against that principle that you just learned. For example, you don't to go to shopping and impulsively buy things, right? That is there. People just to feel happy, they go and buy stuff, right? And they may not need them, but they just saw something nice and appealing. Immediately they want to own it and they want to go and buy it. And lots of times they feel miserable if they don't do it. That's the tendency. So those kind of tendencies, for example, you are eating too much, right? And then you become fat and you want to lose weight. This is a very common thing I see in the clinic. People who are obese, who have gained a lot of weight in the last few months, they come asking for help, right? So one of the first things that we say is what kind of mental makeup that person has. Is the person is going to able to control these urges, these tendencies, and all that, So we get a detailed interview of his eating patterns, of his choice of things that you say, like what is the role of the taste in his selection of food, what is the social thing, all those things we do. As a matter of fact, when they have to be referred for these surgeries, usually they come and they kind of take um 3 or 4 months of our screening and our preparation for the surgery, right? So then we maintain blood pressure and all of that. But not only that, but also we kind of ask their eating habits, how they are really conducting themselves in terms of the tendencies that they are developing, right? So 3 4 months later, if they are able to follow some of the restrictions we placed or some of the things that we want them to change, so that after the surgery, after the abdominal lap surgery or whatever, they don't have these tendencies where they regain the weight that they lost, and they'll be in big trouble. And also, they become very depressed because after all the surgery, and again they are gaining. So that's why we started kind of counseling them before the surgery so that they can train their mind and body in a different way so that they won't succumb to this urges after the surgery is done. That's very commonly done. Because I'm an internist, internal medicine doctor, we have to follow this and then get them ready and then send them to the barometric surgery, right? That's happening very well now, and these days a lot of people are able to plan and do the what are the fasting, what are the things that we prescribe them. They do very well, so that they want the success of the operation, right? Not only come through the surgery, but also after the surgery. After the surgery, they want to not to regain the weight. That's what happens. So it's a kind of it's a kind of very difficult for them to not to regain the weight. Okay, so I hope people can hear me um, on the wisdom app, because I am very close to the iPad that the wisdom is on. Thanks, Cecilia, for reminding me that. I just saw the message. Um, so this is a long topic actually. This self-help books. What kind of books are coming? What they're based on, and how do we approach them? Do we approach like a psychology help, or do we approach it as a religious help, or do we approach it like a quick fixes? All those things matter too, whatever the suggestion is, but most of them are based on positive psychology these days. The positive psychology developed actually before. It was all something like uh, organic psychiatric illness for them, deep depression, or organic brain syndrome or schizophrenia, all those things to be there. So that was termed as treating the organic psychiatric illnesses. Now, because of the civilization, because of the stress and strain of the modern society, a lot of people are developing these symptoms and burnout, stress, and all that, right? Uh, but now you can actually encourage people to be positive about their psychological structure within, and nurture that. That is how the PERMA principle came. Dr. Seligman, he's the one who came up with this. So he said, well, P is for the pleasure. So how can you be happy? That is, if you have something, if you like something, and you do something, then you have the pleasure, right? Or you eat ice cream because it is good for you at the time, but not good for you in the long run. So people are encouraged to eat less and minimal and not too much at a time. They don't want to eat out of the bucket of the ice cream. They want to just a small cup. That would be okay, right? But then, even then, ice cream, if you eat too much, it won't give you the taste and the pleasure. So pleasure is not fulfilling in that sense. But more than that kind of pleasure, instant pleasure, if you engage with something, that is the E. If you engage with something, like for example, you are watching football versus you go and play it. When you play it, you are more engaged. So that also makes you more happiness that way. Even that also lasts only for a certain time, and you will get tired after playing certain time. So you're, and then the same play, that football that you are playing, if you play for some charitable cause where you are raising money for some cause that you like, that is meaningful to you. Like, for example, you are raising money for some people who don't have any clothes, you are raising the clothes or something like that, distributing them in the winter gives you a lot of happiness. Okay, that is the M in that PERMA. R is for the relationships. If you have a relationship with what you are doing and you have something important there, that also important too. So per ma is that meaningfulness, right? And then A is really achieving something. Okay, this is actually based on a system of yoga, which is Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and also they have defined way back, not now, way back thousands ago, what's called dharma, artha, kama, moksha types of living. People do study, do get a job, and then they get something of a livelihood from that. So that is the artha. That means you are going for the money or things that to enhance your life. Okay, but after a while, that is a fundamental need, and that is taken care of. And you people are not very happy to have more things accumulated, rather than they go for something else, something else. So never fulfilling promise, right? And then desires also, if you have a bigger nobler desire versus something like a very self-centered, selfish, small desire, there is a difference there, right? Everybody knows about it, so you can work for a living and you can have some pleasures, that's all okay, but they are not going to be fulfilling in the long run. But you have to do these things in a righteous way. That is where the dharma thing comes. So if you earn livelihood by violence, that's obviously is not good for you. And also, if you are having a indiscriminate pleasure, like with the drugs and other things, that's not good for you either. So what they prescribed was these things are essential, necessary. You do it, but if you really want to be completely fulfilled and free, be free of the mind being dominant in you, right? So that is the moksha, which is liberation from your chattering mind, so that you can use that thought as an instrument. This is also very important to understand why self-help books are not working, is that mind develops its own compulsions, its own unconscious tendencies and habits, and then brain also changes because of that. This neuroplasticity we talked about. If you think of something unconsciously and repetitively, you will form a track for that particular thing in your brain, and you will actually change your brain cortex. Okay, this is what happens to a lot of old people when they reach 50s, 60s, 70s, especially if they were retaining something from the very old time. They stay in their mind and they recall all that, but they can't remember recent, like today, yesterday, something happened. They can't remember that. That's very commonly seen, and the problem is that kind of thought going around cyclical thought we call it. That happens quite often for these people who let their mind think unconsciously for a long time, like decades, right? So people are given medications for that, and then that also causes problems too. But ultimately you cannot really stop it and then sleep peacefully, because these chatters, these built up memories or traumas or life experiences, they all come and torture them, and then medical field, people give them medications to sleep, but then the medications initially work, and then later on you have to increase a lot, and then if you give too much medication, that results in interaction. And also, if you have other medications for other conditions, they all interact and they produce problems. So how do you reverse this? That is where the young people can learn from this and say, I'm going to think what is needed. Rest of the time, I'm going to calm my mind and then be in charge of what I'm thinking. So this is where I teach conscious thought. Whatever you think, be intentional. Think about that. Okay, don't think about whatever that comes to your mind, and then whatever catches your attention. Be intentional about what your meaningful activities are meaningful for you in life, and engage with them. And then remember, the pleasure is a temporary thing, but the joy and happiness are more long lasting. Okay, but once you are in joy and you are working the things, that means whatever you are doing gives you plenty of joy and enjoyment, and that is important. For example, you look at a tree that's green and beautiful and all that, Enjoy that, but after that is done, give it up. Don't carry it as a memory. That's where the thought comes in. Okay, so involve in the life and then enjoy that, but then let it go at the moment. So this is advanced meditation where they teach you each moment you kind of form a small ego, and then you have to realize and let it go. If you let it continue, then it will have more and more strength, and then it will dictate to you what it wants to do. That is also why people are not able to really understand the insights from the self-help books, and also there is no standard in the sense they are always somebody says, oh, this is great book, this is great book. The same thing happens in social media rooms too. People try to um, boost each other's ego, and then they will not know what is real at the time. Okay, so they just want the ego to boost up and they feel very good at the time, but somebody else comes and says this is just ego, they get trashed, and then they get really uh, down to the balloon is inflated, but then you put a pin like a criticism or like a say this is not a big deal, whatever it is, and that pricks the balloon of the ego, and people suffer that too, and that's not good in the long run. So always be aware of your thinking patterns that you established over the past, and don't curse yourself or don't say anything. Just watch the thoughts and come and go. So this is what happens in meditation. You kind of clean all those old memories and then let them go. That's it. And then why? The present is your real life, and then you want to be established in the present, not in the past memories or past things and all that. So the more consciously you are thinking, the more you'll be able to understand insights from anybody and also observe those insights in your real life. uh, that is what is missing with self-help books. Is it's not the problem of the book author, it is a reader who reads them and takes them for real and want to implement them. Why he is not able to do it? Because of this conditioning that happens with people. So that's basically a sense of it. We can go along on the discussion because it involves how the mind registers everything and all that. Um, it's because if you are really a meditative mind and you are living in the present, and you are really in charge of what is that you intend, what is that you want to do, that is the conscious thought, right? Then thought won't have its own life after the event is done, because you go to the next event, you are again in the present, conscious, right? That's what I do with my patients. Each patient is paid complete attention, and after they are helped and all that, what I don't need to remember, I will push it away, and I will try to do as much as possible, but sometimes we may order something, and we have to see that later, and that delays and all that part is okay, but everything else we don't. But at least the next patient is given complete attention, so that we don't have to get the habit of giving everything from the previous patient into our mind. That kind of thing can be done with anybody, any kind of profession that you are doing. Attend to whatever is on hand with you. Just pay attention to it completely. And if you develop that habit of complete attention in the moment for whatever you do, your quality of work will go very high, and also you won't carry anything in your mind. Then you will be more in charge of the thought, rather than it telling you that I don't want to do exercise in the morning. You will be able to do exercise by yourself, because you are already having the self will, which is going to help you do the right thing. Okay, so read the self-help books, but be aware of where it's coming from, what are the others background, what are the testimonials and all that. Don't take it right away. Think about them, test them, and then once you test them, once you really understand this is something that say he's talking about is real and truthful, and also it is something that I have validated by my research. You got to research anybody's, even mine or anybody is talking about it. You got to understand. You got to go and question it, doubt it, and then after that only you should. Don't trust because just because they have degrees, they're psychologists, they are the spiritual leaders, whatever it is. Your job is to not just to read it, but also to understand it, to investigate on that, and then after your research tells you that this is truthful and this is something that we should do it. Once you understand it, be conscious, intention about it, at least in the beginning. Take, for example, 14 days. If you make yourself, bring up in the morning, but for 14 days, you usually have established a habit over the bad habit you have in the past. In the past, you was not able to do that, and anything, like a weight loss, like a exercise, like a meditation, calming mind, or not being angry, or anything that you take it, and you want to really establish new habits over the bad habits in the past, or something that you don't like. Suppose you are drinking and you want to leave it, right? That's a big deal, right? About the health. Smoking. What happens with this kind of thing is they form a pharmacological, medical addiction like habituation, at least tolerance and all that. So for them, they have their own career. Okay, they move from uh, like a simple habit to powerful habit that you have to be aware of it every day for a few days and reinforce the good habit over this. Then the tendency will be gone, and you will be. If you fight the tendencies, they become stronger. But if you just allow them and then watch them, it's much easier to go. Okay. Anybody has any questions? You can come up and talk to me. And there's 20 some people on the LinkedIn. So I think I started early today, like a 6:45 or so. Sheikh came, my friend from the other community, and he was talking about some things too. He was a military man and all that. See, that's what happens if you are a military man. You got a very vigorous regimen from morning till evening, right? I knew about this because my brother was a real military man. He was a big officer in the Indian Army, and they have a very good army. And he commanded several thousands of people. And I was like a baby in front of him. He was born 16 years before me. He was the first child, and I was the last child among the seven, right? So he knew me from childhood, a very, very small baby. And he trained us military discipline. He trained us to be punctual, which is very rare in India, And he treated us to be very meticulously clean. And he used to have this scooter. It's called Lambretta. That Lambretta is a scooter, right? It has got a wide body and all that. So it has a body that can be waxed too. First of all, he will clean everything very meticulously, and then he will do the wax application and then rub vigorously too. So I learned all that with him. So attention to detail, not in a compulsive way, but just to get things done, accomplish, and feel good about it. Those kind of habits you can retain. But the more important thing is concentration and paying attention to what we're doing. That was very important to me. And also respect for other people in terms of being punctual, even in India. But then what happened to me several times was they announced 10 o'clock, and I used to go by 10 o'clock. Nobody there. Another hour we have to wait before the people come in. That is their condition. But I didn't want to lose my habit, and that was invaluable when I came to United States or from India. I was naturally punctual, so respecting other people's time. That was then value that was instilled in it. So like that, parents and society and all those people instill so many habits, but also we kind of allow our mind to build its own conditioning. That's what I'm talking about. So if that will come up, that will purge out. At the time, don't reinforce it, don't fight it. Just let it go. For that, every day you got to sit down and reflect on things. And then allow these bad habits to come up and go. The mental bad habits I'm talking about, So self-help will work better when you work on your mind this way. Okay, if you can do that, then the mind will be controlled, and then you will be able to execute things because you don't want to fight yourself. Okay, on one hand, you want to do whatever habit that you want to change, but then your condition, opposite to that, was already there, and you cannot do that because remember the analogy of the elephant and the mahout. Mahout is the person, the driver who is driving that elephant, right? He cannot control that elephant because it's so strong than him, but he can train it. That is what he does. The same thing analogy. Our body is our elephant. Our mind tendencies is our elephant. So train them, and then whatever truth that you find out through the study of these self-help books, they are not all nonsense or anything, but some are very jealous. Some are kind of they want to push their point of view without giving you a chance to really go and explore. So that is one clause, one caution I always tell people: don't believe whatever that comes at you. Go and investigate, find out. So find the right sources, and then that is also needed some discipline and some kind of effort on your part, right? Don't agree for everybody just like that. And then you'll be like a buyer beware, right? That's the one that you want to see. So whoever says whatever you says, then it may resonate with your mind right there, but it may not be truth, right? So you got to have the responsibility to go and explore that. And once you understand the truth, then you say, why is it that I'm not able to implement this? That's where training of your body or the mind comes. Okay. So Nazli, you have any questions? Okay. Yeah, she has no questions today. That's good. Okay. Uh, so it's all training how you do it. For example, people come very enthusiastically signing for my wellness club, right? And then they attend the class for a few days, and then later on they think, oh, we figured out all the routines, and they say, but then I ask them, are you doing those routines at home on a daily basis or some regularity? They say, oh, maybe once a week. And then soon, after a while, they forget about all that. That's such a waste of time and energy and all that too. Especially if you have gained some benefits from the regular practice. Okay. Um, there is a argument about this one too. Actually, meditation. The biggest question is, say my mind is like wind; it goes all over. What should I do is the question, right? The answer given the ancient wisdom was, yeah, your mind is like a wind, it will go all over. And also, it is precipitated by this newer overthinking or information overload, all digital and all that, right? Two things that you want to understand. First of all, you want to practice on a daily basis, otherwise the mind won't come into control at all. And then other thing is, you got to have a detachment of things that are not really important for you, that are not meaningful for you. For me, it's more like a spiritual things, right? That's more important than the other regular material things. I don't have that much sway from them because I kind of explore these truths of ancient universal truths and discover the joy in understanding and then really changing our mind. So complete something new, you know, that itself is a very energetic, joyful, tranquil, peaceful, right? Once you taste that, then you don't look for smaller pleasures like a movie, like a song, or like all those things are really. Uh, it's not that you deliberately give it up, but they just don't appeal to you that much. So the inward joy, if you can touch by practicing and developing the detachments to the things that are not really important, and that's very important. In American life, they make you buy things even though you don't need them. So that's how the economy is made, right? A lot of things are uh, sold to us like they are the happiness. Owning them, you'll be happy. All that, but it has got a lot of debt, a lot of suffering when you give it up, or you can afford. All those things are there. But if you can discover these inner riches, I call them, inner feeling of contentment, inner feeling of fulfillment, inner feeling of tranquility and peace, then you won't have this attraction to the smaller joys that much. Okay, so actually, there's a criticism of the modern man is they are self-centeredly or technocrat or whatever. They kind of pursue only very small pleasures, small self-centered activities, uh, by neglecting the larger issues of the earth, and also don't contribute for the earth to grow or to recharge itself and all that. Okay, I think there's a legitimate complaint. I think mainly because people don't know what it is to be not having any addictions, not having any habits, but discover the resilience to really resist the extreme suffering and also be calmly joyful within you. You know, that is something that comes if you are really truly spiritual. Then you will not be attracted to all these small things that make habits for you, tendencies for you, and then because you are not happy within, then you want to learn from every Tom Dick who comes around. But they may say something valuable also, but you don't know because how your mind works, how your body works, you cannot implement that. That is the fundamental thing about this room today. Anybody else? Anything anybody else want to come and talk about? Or yeah, I kind of thought people will come because a lot of people read self-help books. So actually, even the relics or even the scriptures, they can also be just reading something if they are not really thought about, and then once you understand the truth, they are not allowed to be in your regular life. So I actually, one thing I learned was books are also outside of you. So if you really want to have a tranquil mind, you got to go in and study that, and out of that your mind will reveal, and then the reflection of that will reveal where the mind is, what is going on, and all that. So it's nothing but self knowledge with self inquiry, and land up in the self realization. Okay, those three words, remember them, and you have to do them. If you do that, uh, self inquiry starts with asking what's going on, who am I, and all that. And that reveals knowledge of your thoughts, your emotions, your tendencies, and all. Then that leads to the question, where did they come from? How did I learn? It could be influenced by your society, or your religion, or your politics, or your uh, parents, families, or your spouse, any number of things, or some people as the so-called influencers of the social media. They'll be articulate, they'll be talking very nicely, but then if they look at them, they themselves are helpless inside. They don't admit that, but they sell all sorts of things about. So you can figure it out by yourself by seeing the person, or is it depending on the likes and comments, or selling some things, or asking you to do that, this, and all those things, right? So once you understand that, then you will be looking inside of yourself with self-inquiry, gain the self-knowledge, which leads to realize who you are. Okay, I've done a course on the self-knowledge just for the use of my friends. So that is something I think the on the YouTube channel probably. You can take a look at that too. Uh, these days I'm making videos very fast because Pictory helps me, or I was doing in video, but I did so many videos. They said that's the limit that you reached for this month on the 15th or so. Then I said, okay, I'll use Pictory. I have both of them, but Pictory is much better actually. In video, I got used to it very quickly. So I was making, I think I made like 120 videos with it in a couple of months. But I enjoy making them so that it's much easily presented. And then voiceover is there. We can use the speaker also. So I don't have to speak also. I just write the script, and then that is taken into text to images, right? And the video is much easier. So I made a video on that. I made a video on the young kids, what they should be looking at what I'm talking about for him, what is that important for him, that kind of thing. Everything is oriented towards service to other people. Okay, if I don't do all these things, also I'll be happy by myself. That is the beauty of the inner spirituality, not the outer religious traditions and all that, but they have meaning. We have to understand why they are doing what they are doing. Okay, so that's I think that's enough for today because I almost uh, spoke almost 56 minutes, 41 seconds, so almost an hour. If there was somebody else coming and asking questions, I would have stayed longer. But I think I told what I need to tell today, what I wanted to say. Um, so, as usual, I'll meet you again tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I'll bring some subject that will be related to the entrepreneurship and the energy. And if I don't find any topics on entrepreneurship, I may do something else. So that may be significant for me and for you also. Okay. Thank you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Okay, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow again.